The BMW M135i, remember that? It had 6 cylinders and rear-wheel drive. It was a spicy car that was also popular for those looking to modify them. Not all of them were tasteful. Now, the M135 still exists. In fact, here it is. But not only has it lost its eye, but it's also lost 2 cylinders and it's now also all-wheel drive. Therefore, has this car lost its edge? Keep watching to find out. So before we hit the road, let's talk about what is lurking underneath the bonnet. Of course, the older N55, the 3 litre, 6 cylinder, single turbo unit is long gone. It has been consigned to the pages of history. What we have in the latest iteration of this car is a 2 litre, 4 cylinder turbocharged B48. Of course, it is a little bit down on power. By the way, this is bi-turbo in case I didn't mention that. It is a little bit down on power, but not massively. This offers 300 horsepower along with 400 Newton meters of torque. If you prefer that in pound-feet, there will be a caption at the bottom of your screen right about now. Now, what does that mean in regards to performance? Well, this will crack 62 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, more specifically 4.9 seconds, and of course, the top speed is limited to 155 miles per hour. This power is of course fed to all 4 wheels via BMW's xDrive system and a 7-speed Steptronic dual clutch transmission. So, does this engine make this car feel a bit too grown up, a bit too civilized? Well, let's hit the blacktop and see what this car is all about. So this is a first drive video. This is very much my first impression, so this is not a full-blown review. Oh, that is pretty sprightly though, as first impressions go. Now, I drove, I think, the M140i, but that was many moons ago, so I haven't really got the muscle memory to make any real comparison. So I'm driving this car based on its own merits. Throttle response is really good. Of course, with it being a bi-turbo, you'll have a small turbo and a large turbo, so you shouldn't really have any lag as such. That is faster than I was expecting, although to be fair, it does 62 miles per hour in 4.9 seconds. It's going to be a quick car. Now, one of the downsides of having the xDrive, the all-wheel drive system, is added weight. Compared to the M135i from yesteryear, this is 200 kilograms heavier, and that's a fair bit. Now, yes, I know this isn't the same car as the M135i, and soon I'm going to stop making comparisons, for which I'm sure you'd be grateful. But this feels more focused and more sporty than I was expecting. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I didn't think it'd feel quite as lively as this. Of course, in the sport mode, you're going to get more poke, more performance. I like the way how the steering wheel feels. There's some that moan that the BMW steering wheels are a bit girthy, but I quite like that. It feels chunky in the hands. Make of that what you will. Yeah, it's nice to hold. I love the red centre stripe as well. Just helps to add that extra bit of sportiness. The ride, actually, one thing I haven't mentioned, it is firm, but it's still quite compliant. Yes, I'm bouncing about my seat a little bit, but this isn't the smoothest road surface in the world. But it's not bad. On the brakes, nice little blip there. Now, in the cabin, this sounds pretty exciting. From the exterior, hasn't quite got the same amount of, oh, that's a bit tight there, hasn't quite got the same amount of fizz. So there's definitely some sound trickery that's at play here. Now, some of you purists may not like that, but you know what? I don't mind a bit of sound trickery. Granted, it's like going to see your favourite artist in concert and then using auto-tune. It's cheating, I get that, but I don't mind it. The engine, I mean, not auto-tune. That is an abomination and shouldn't be allowed, but that's a different matter altogether. I like the small kick you get between gear changes as well. Now, of course, you have paddles on the back of the steering wheel, which look really nice. They're finished in black and red, which, as you may know, is my favourite colour combination, obviously. Just use the paddles for a bit. Oh, it won't let me change down. I'm asking for second, then it's going, no, you're still going to stay in third. You're not going to blow up the gearbox, you imbecile. I know better than you. And to be fair, it's probably right. So I'm just going to just knock it down to see what the change's like. Yeah, the changes are quick. They're not, I'd say they're not quite as slick as a DSG. You can definitely tell the car's changing, but that might just be the configuration in the sport mode, just to give it that extra little punch between the gears. So for example, if I knock it into a more docile mode, it's going to efficient. Ugh. We won't be in it for long, I promise. So let's just see what the gear change is like in efficient. Yeah, they're much smoother because you haven't got that same sporty element. So you can't really notice the gear changes in efficiency. Yeah, 5th to 6th, I didn't notice. The only way I know I changed gear was because I obviously selected that and it changed on the display. But when you pop it back into sport, you get a bit more of a kick between the gear changes.
Put the gearbox in sport as well.
Yeah, let's put the gearbox in sport. That's a good point, Steve, actually. Oh, yeah, now we are flying. Oh, that is quick. And because the car looks relatively subtle from the outside, it's a bit of a sleeper. You don't quite know the power it's got underneath your right foot. And you've got shift lights on the display as well. Fantastic. So the driver's display, if I'm not mistaken, is 10.25 inches, but the main display is 10.7 inches, if I'm not mistaken. Nice colourful displays, very high quality, as you would expect. They're lovely to look at. One thing I haven't spoken about at this point is the handling. The steering weight is nice, even more so in sport mode, of course, because it torques up. You get a heavier steering weight, which is pleasant. Brakes perform well. This is wearing Bridgestone tyres. I'm not too sure if they're the Pretenders or the Turanzas, but so far they're doing a pretty good job. They're very little in the way of body roll through the corners. Nice and flat. Yeah, it's definitely capable and sure-footed, but that's what you would expect really from a German performance car.
When you stop next, try out the boost.
Try out the boost. Oh, hello. Right, how do we activate that, good sir?
Sport mode.
Right, so sport mode. Yep.
Gearbox in sport. Don't use the paddles. Hold down that the back shift. Hold that down.
Yep. Oh, it says boost on
There
it.
you go. 10 seconds. Now, if you floor it, you get an extra 20 seconds of brake. Extra 20 newton meters of brake. Cool. That is rapid. It's just a shame that on the inside of the car you get the bum 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 bum. It sounds like the exhaust is reverberating and having a little not a backfire, but it feels like the exhaust is burbling when it isn't. But hey, it still sounds good. God, this is that is good through the corners. Don't get me wrong, you can feel the car's weight. This tips the scales at 1,625 kilograms, which is for a hatchback. That is a bit of a heifer lump. But although you can feel the car's weight through the corners, I wouldn't say it feels particularly heavy. It just feels like a bit of a unit. It just feels a bit solid. But all modern cars nowadays, they're getting heavier and heavier with each generation that goes by. Of course, the all-wheel drive system is going to add to that as well. And it does feel a little bit weighty in the corners, but not to the point where it feels cumbersome. This car definitely doesn't feel cumbersome, if you ask me. Now, as I mentioned, this uses a 7-speed Steptronic dual clutch unit, whereas in the old M135i that used an 8-speed ZF gearbox, which I think was a torque converter. So dual clutch is going to be slicker, of course, and it feels like a good fit for this car. There are some times where I would be craving for a manual, particularly in a sporty hatchback, but I think the 7-speed in this really matches the car's character and power, and it is a good transmission as well. And of course, with it being a BMW, you've got a lovely cabin. I love the M stitching on the passenger side. I'm impressed by the performance. As I said earlier, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this car. I thought it was going to be, dare I say, a little bit numb, much like some of the fast Audis are. But this is quite lively. The sound composer definitely helps. It definitely helps to add a bit of theatre, a bit of drama to proceedings. Just makes it feel a bit more spicy. Now, the concept of losing 2 cylinders and adding the xDrive for the 135 is not a new one, because this is the 4th generation 1 Series. This is the F70, if you want to be nerdy and talking model code. The previous car to this, the F40, also had this setup, i.e. the 2-litre turbo with the xDrive, although that was called the M135i, but for the new one they've dropped the I. I'm sure there's a reason behind that. But compared to the previous version, the 3rd generation, the 4th generation has had revisions to the suspension, to the chassis. The body rigidity has been improved, and to get even more nerdy, some of you will really enjoy this, the caster on the front wheels has been increased by 20%. Yeah, I bet other YouTube channels aren't telling you that, are they? What does that actually mean, though? Well, it means that you get better stability and, in theory, better steering feedback as well. So yeah, the steering caster has been improved by 20%. There we go. You came for the car and you stayed for the knowledge. So if you were struggling to get to sleep at night, then you're welcome. I will talk to you in great length about steering caster. But yeah, in regards to the actual size of the car compared to the 3rd generation, not much has changed. I think this car is a wee bit longer and also a wee bit taller. It's quite practical as well. The boot is a good size. It's 380 litres, which is more compared to the Volkswagen Golf R. Look at that little caterum. Yeah, got a lot of time for that. And an Alpine. Lovely.
And a Porsche.
Yes, that is one of the special editions. I can't remember which one it's called, but not many of those were made, so that's actually quite a rare car. Yeah, 380 litres for the boot, which is more than the Volkswagen Golf R, the Audi S3 and the Mercedes A35 AMG as well. So pretty good. Fold down the rear seats and you get 1,200 litres, so a pretty usable car. That's why I love sporty hatchbacks. You get the performance, but you also get the practicality to go with them as well. Now, I haven't sat in the back of the car, so I can't comment on that just yet. I may.
There is loads of room in the back.
Yeah. A bit difficult to do it right this moment because last time I checked, it's difficult to drive the car from the back seat, although you can get the back seat drivers.
I've seen Arnie do it once.
But yeah, I imagine. I mean, it looks like quite a lot of space in the back. Just having a quick peek behind me, but I will probably dub in some footage when I'm sat in the back so you can get an idea of the space. I'm 6'2", so I am a taller guy. But yeah, not really much more to say. It's been an enjoyable drive. I don't want to rinse too much of Steve's petrol, because I imagine this is quite a juicy car, particularly when you drive it how it's meant to be driven, let's be honest. But it's a really good solid package, and I think for those that, if you've looked at the old M135i and thought that just seemed a little bit raucous or a little bit, not wayward, because with it being rear wheel drive and having quite a lot of power, it can be a handful sometimes. This is the more, not necessarily sensible option, but I think, I'm not too sure how to put it, maybe a bit more of a civilised option. I think that's a better way of putting it. But it's not to say that you're losing loads of the experience. Yes, you haven't got the 6-cylinder soundtrack, and you are down a little bit on power, but in regard to the power, I don't think you'd really notice it on a day-to-day basis. Yes, you haven't quite got that same symphony of these straight 6, but this makes a pretty decent noise, albeit, yes, I know it's not quite true, but it's good enough for me.
Now, before I wrap things up, let me talk about how much the BMW M135 costs and what you get as standard. At the time of filming, it has a starting price of £45,525, which is a little bit cheaper compared to the Volkswagen Golf R, about £3,000 less compared to the Audi S3, and more than £4,000 less compared to the Mercedes A35 AMG. The standard features include LED lights, 18-inch alloys, although the car filmed in this video has the optional 19-inch alloys, tinted rear windows, Alcantara upholstery, Harman Kardon sound system, heated front seats, climate control, adaptive suspension, parking assist, M Sport brakes, M Sport spoiler, 10.7-inch infotainment screen and 10.25-inch driver display, to name a few.
So a big thank you to Steve for letting me drive his virtually brand new M135. You've had this for like days?
About a month.
About a month, yeah. So it's still got a new car smell to it. So a big thank you for Steve for letting me drive it. And I've enjoyed myself more than I thought I would. That's not to put this car down. It's just I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this car. But yeah, it has been good fun. So if you have any questions about this car, let me know, and if it's a long-term ownership kind of question, I can ask Steve, although let's be fair, he's only had it a month, so it's not really long-term yet. But if you're watching this in a year's time, for example, I can pass the question on to Steve. If you have found this video helpful or useful or enjoyable, or maybe even all three, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.